But in a vegetable stock now, you want a lot of flavor, so you use a lot of vegetables. So I like to use onion in mine. I've got some celery around, and I like to use the heart. A lot of people don't use the heart. They always throw this wonderful part away. This is the best, tastiest part of the celery. It's so enjoyable. When I see young chefs throw it away, I just want to cry. I'm going to use some parsnips here as well. They give a lot of flavor in there, and they're really a great vegetable. I'm going to use some carrots in my vegetable stock right here. I got some baby carrots here that will be really nice. And I'm going to add I had some cherry tomatoes that we picked from our garden they went a little bit on the soft side. I'm even going to put those in my vegetable stock. It gives a lot of flavor. I also want to show you something interesting today. A lot of times you get mushrooms and they're beginning to look a little bit on the dark side, and you don't really know what to do with them. Well, they're not bad, actually. This is what a lot of chefs will do to them. They're going to take the mushroom, they're going to cut off the stem right here like that. And what we're going to do is we're going to just reach underneath, and we're going to actually peel the mushroom, and you're going to get a beautiful mushroom that you could use in any dish from here. And if you want, you could put those peelings into your vegetable stock, because mushrooms add a lot of color to your vegetables, and they give you a lot of darkness and richness to it. So I made this mushroom look like a brand new mushroom again just by peeling it, and it's very easy to do, and it's very useful in your stock. When I make my stock, which I'm going to do right here, in my pot right here that's going to hold it, I'm going to put just a little bit of vegetable oil or olive oil, whichever one you like. I'm going to turn it down so you can see my pot. I've got my gas on here, and I'm going to let that oil get a little bit hot there, just so that what I want to do is I want to sweat the vegetables. So I'm going to rough chop my vegetables really quickly for this. And I wanted to show you one other thing while I do this. I want to use a whole onion, and I want to show you how to peel an onion nicely and use an onion. I'm going to take the root of the onion off first, all right? I want to get rid of that because I don't want that in my on my prep table. And then I'm going to take my onion where I cut that off. I'm going to score it, and then I'm going to take off the bottom of that as well right there. I like to show you how to use vegetables and work with them. And then I'm just going to peel it down. Now, also, I do want to say, if you want to use onion and peel in your vegetable soup or your vegetable stock, go ahead. It gives you some color and lots of nutrients. A lot of people don't want to, but you can if you want to. And I'm just peeling that up just like that. Now, I'm going to use this right here for two things. One for my stock, which I'll show you how to cut. When I cut it, I'm going to cut it right through the core. I'm going to turn it on the side, and I'm going to just dice it real thin. And I want to just show you how I dice it. I'm going to cut through that way with the finger at the top. I'm going to use this thing called the claw. I'm going to cut down, and then I'm just going to cut that onion up just like that. For my vegetable stock, I'm going to use this one for my soup in a little bit right here. But for my vegetable stock, I'm going to use all these scraps that I have. I'm going to add them to my pot. You're going to hear them sizzle there. And I'm going to take my celery and just rough chop my celery up. Just like that, and throw that in there. I'm going to throw some whole cloves of garlic in my vegetable stock for flavor. I'm going to throw my tomatoes in as well. I've got those in there. And I'm just going to rough chop my carrots right here. These ones, just rough chop them right up. And it only takes about an hour to make a wonderful vegetable stock, especially since you're probably grocery shopping and getting a lot more produce right now. Feel free just to add all those trimmings that you have and add them into your stock. I'm just cutting up this parsnip whole. I didn't peel it. I want the nutrients. I want the color from it. And by searing it in this pan or sauteing it off in this pan, it's going to give me a little bit more color. So I'm going to show you what that's going to look like in the bottom of the pan. Look how beautiful that looks. I hope you can see that. I know you can because I can see it right there. Okay, so that's looking really good. I got some smoke coming out of there. Now, if you want, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. If you want to do this, what you can do is you can add a little white wine to this. It'll brighten it up a little bit, give it a little freshness to it, but I got nice color on there. I like to throw a little bit of thyme in there. I like to throw a bay leaf in there as well. Bay leaf gives a nice aromatic flavor to it. And I'm going to throw a little bit of parsley in there. I'll even throw my mushrooms in there that I had, and that will give it some really nice color. Then what I'm going to do here, after I just let it sweat for a little bit, is I'm going to cover it with water, just enough to cover the vegetables, and I'm going to let this simmer for about an hour. After an hour, it'll be done. You're going to have a beautiful, rich stock. If it doesn't have enough flavor to it and you want more flavor, reduce it down more, and you're going to get beautiful flavor from that. But just take a look at this, how beautiful that looks cooking. And if you want, when you're making your vegetable soup, sometimes I save all the vegetables, I puree it, I add stock back in, and I get a wonderful vegetable soup for later. So you can do two things at one time here and enjoy doing that. So I just wanted to show you that really quick for a nice vegetable stock. As we always do in TV or anything, here's one I made earlier, so you can enjoy that. And we'll use that for our next dish. Our next dish that we're going to be making is going to be the vegan cauliflower soup. Cauliflower is a superfood right now, and everybody's using it. But a lot of people don't really know how to work with it. So I wanted to show you how I like to work with it. It's a big nutritious vegetable, and it's got this big core on the bottom. Now I want to also tell you that I don't throw these away. I use the core in my, as you know, and I'm waiting for a reply from you guys. But this is not live. Is the core I use in for my stock. So I peel it off and I throw all of that in my vegetable stock, and I get lovely vegetable stock. I'm going to cut in on this right here. I want to show you how I'm going to core this out. I'm going to core like this my cauliflower right out, and that core for me is going to go right into my vegetable stock, and it's going to give me so much more flavor and really enjoy it. Now you're going to see that I'm going to get down to the core here of the cauliflower, and I want to show you when I talk about making florets for the matzo ball, that how I do that. So now I'm at the core. I just want to show you, you can see the stems right there. Just take your knife and cut the stem just like that, and you can peel that off, and you got this nice big piece of cauliflower. All right, and that's how we're going to start getting it for our matzo balls, our cauliflower matzo balls, which are a great option. And I love that dish, and I'll tell you more about that dish in a little bit. But that's how you're going to get your big florets right here. And we're going to cook those in boiling water in a moment. But right now, this is just for my soup. So I cut out these big florets right here. But for my soup, what I want to do for my soup is I want to cut this really fine. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to shave it down really fine like this and just chop it down. And that's what I'm going to do with the cauliflower. I can chop it right up. If you want, you can even, and I like to do this too, if you don't want to make the cauliflower matzo ball, they sell this rice cauliflower in the freezer department. I use that to make this soup sometimes, which I love a lot, because this happens to be one of my favorite soups. You know, when you go to the grocery store, you see a lot of soups. You don't, brands, companies that make a lot of soups, but you don't see a lot of companies making cauliflower soup. I only know one company that makes it, so it's something quite a treat. So I finally diced this up. You can chop it up. The more you chop it up, the faster it will cook. So you want to do that to it. Now I've got my pot right here, and I'm going to put on my pot, and I'm going to turn it on and start to heat it up. And I don't really want to brown a lot of the vegetables in this, so I want to add my onion first into this that I chopped up earlier. And you don't have to worry about the size of everything, because it's going to go through a blender later. So we're going to do that. And I do want to show you how I want to chop up garlic for this. I have some garlic here, right here. I'm going to put on the end of my board. What I do is I take the garlic and I'm just going to smash it and then chop it up. It makes it real easy, and right into my pot. And I'm going to start to sweat my onion here, and I'm going to start to sweat my cauliflower as well. So I got a little oil in there, okay? And what I like to always add in to this is I always like to add a bay leaf, which I'll take out later to this, all right? So I'll get that out later, but I like a little bay leaf in there. And now what I'm going to do is I'm even going to add in my cauliflower right now. I'm going to turn the camera down and add my cauliflower into the pot. Now, I want to get that really cooking really quick, so I'm going to give it a stir, and you'll hear it, and I'm going to chop away at it so that I crush it up, because the finer it crushes, the faster this soup is going to cook. All right? So while this soup is beginning to cook, I'm going to start going over to my next dish, which will be the matzo ball, and I'm going to start preparing to make the matzo ball. So that's going to sweat away and become real tender. All right. And in this recipe, don't be afraid to adjust it. If you want to add a little bit more celery into this, you can add some celery. Add what you like to it. But I like the nice cauliflower soup, and I've got it cooking really, really nice here. Now, the recipe that I like to use has products in it like a plant-based product, milk. I like to use in that plant-based product. And let me lift up the camera. In that plant-based product, I like to use just a little soy milk if you like that. If you don't want to add any plant-based milks to it or any milks to it, don't. You don't have to. You can just use the straight cauliflower here, and that will be fine. That'll be working great. You can see that it's just cooking away and sweating away here. If it wasn't Passover at this time, when these are all sweated, I could add in a little bit of flour to it and then add my stock and everything. It'll make it really rich and creamy. But cauliflower is hearty, so it's going to really tenderize and cook up really, really nice here. So let this sear a little bit. I'm going to get this cooking down and sweat it a little bit. And just enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. You don't need a lot of oil. You just need something to keep the cauliflower coated and stop it from browning. If you like brown on it, then brown it. But this one I want to try to get as white and as bright as I can. So there, that's cooking away right there. We're going to go back over to our cauliflower matzo ball right now while this is cooking. First of all, on our cauliflower matzo ball, I've cut these about this size. And let me give you a little bit of history about this dish while I do this dish. This is a very old classical dish. You see, in classic cooking, you wanted all your vegetables to be the same size. So there was a chef called Escoffier. He was kind of the founder of our industry. He found a way to kind of portion this so that they came out all the same size on the plate, because otherwise you get one like this size, one like that size. So he found a way and made this classical dish to come out the size all even on the plate, because he believes in consistency in sizes. So when we do the matzo ball, I took it from that inspiration of this old classic Escoffier dish that I used to do when I was cooking classical French food years back. Okay, so my vegetables are nice and tender right now. They're really sweated down. I'm going to add some vegetable stock to this now. Just like that, enough to cover it, just like that. And I'm gonna let this really, really simmer for a little bit and become tender. Sometimes I even like to just cover it just enough so that it keeps the steam in there and it will cover it. Just enough to keep some pressure under there and keep it going. Now we're gonna let that simmer for a little bit while I go over to do the matzo ball here. So for my matzo ball, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take my matzo ball after I clean it, and I'm going to put it in a pot of boiling water, and I'm going to squeeze a little lemon juice in the water. So for about a quart of water, I would probably add in about a teaspoon of lemon juice. I'll put that in, and this is the time I'm going to break one of my rules, okay, or one of the cooking rules. See, one of the cooking rules with vegetables is that you would cook an above ground vegetable from cold water, from hot water, put it into boiling water, cook it, and blanch it. But this is such a dense vegetable that it starts off really well in cold water to bring it up so it cooks evenly throughout. So I would cover it with water like this, and I'll add a pinch of salt, and I would add my little bit of lemon to it. That's right here. Take a little bit of fresh lemon or juice, and enough water to cover it, just to cover it so that it floats. Then put it on the stove and let it boil. All right, and I mean let it cook. It's got to become tender. This is the one time I say, overcooking of vegetables, a really good thing. I'm going to show you the soup now. It's simmering away here, getting real tender. I got lots of nice steam coming out of it right there. And that's really good. I like that. And it just smells wonderful when you cook that. It smells wonderful when you cook that. So here is what we did. What I did is I cooked one of these matzo balls, or to be earlier, and it's very tender. And people say, how do you know when it's tender enough? You're going to take your knife into the cauliflower floret, and you're going to stick your knife in. If it should go in, it should come out real easy from both ends. You don't want to break it open. You just want to stick your knife in. You can do it while it's on the stove if you're not sure how it's going to work out. So I cooked off a few here earlier. And let me just add a little bit more stock to my soup there. There we go. Okay. And here's the trick on how to make this into a matzo ball. Is we take our dish towel that I have right here. Okay, I have a nice clean dish towel right here. And what I do with this is I open it up and I'm going to take the cauliflower and I'm going to put it, it can be in pieces, so I can get a couple of broken pieces and put it together. And I'm going to, kind of like we used to do when we were kids, make a ghost out of it. I'm going to put it right here and I'm going to twist this. And juice is going to come out of it. Not a problem. Twist it really tight, really, really tight. Squeeze out that little bit of water. Push it together a little bit. And then you're going to unroll this gently. Very, very, very gently unwrap this, okay? And the first one usually could stick a little bit. When you do the second one, it usually comes out real easy there. And then when you open it up, what you have is what looks absolutely, I got to find the camera lens, something that looks exactly like a matzo ball, okay? You cannot tell that that's not a matzo ball. It looks real like a matzo ball. So if you put that in soup, you could fool people too, that it's not a matzo ball. So what I like to do with this after I do that, give me a half sheet, is I like to take a little pan spray that I keep around, and I give the matzo ball a little bit of spray on the top, just like that. And this is optional. You don't have to. You could just leave it the way it is. And then I like to take just a little bit of matzo meal, coat the top of it, and then my sous chef Anthony is going to pop that in the oven for me, okay? And I'm going to make one more for you so you can see it again, all right? It's not hard at all, but it's a great little trick. I'll show you with some really soft pieces too. I want to show you how easy this just breaks apart in my hand, how it just crumbles. That's how soft you want it. So I'm going to take the cauliflower. It looks like a whole chunk of cauliflower in there. Cover it up. And I want to then now take this and I want to twist it. Twist it hard. Don't be afraid. Twist it hard. You can make a big matzo ball or a small matzo ball. It's not a problem. Whatever you like. Then gently unwrap it. Now, this has a couple of applications to it too. You see, what you also could do is you could chill this, and there's your perfectly looking matzo ball. And I hope you think that looks like a matzo ball, because when I made this earlier, I thought it looked absolutely like a matzo ball. What you could do to have some fun with it is you could also bread them and fry them too if you like to, with matzo meal. So you could do a standard breading procedure with matzo meal, egg wash or egg, and then matzo meal, and then you could fry it if you like to. I want to show you how quick this really became tender, the cauliflower here. So let me aim the camera down. All right, so there's my camera. There's my liquid. It really has cooked and it has become soft. So now what I'm going to do now is go to my next step, where I'm going to puree this into a mixture. But I'm going to add in my soy at this point, my little soy milk, just to give it some creaminess. Now, also, you can use, if you like, coconut milk, almond milk, anything you really like, you could use. And so I've got my blender sitting right here, my Vitamix blender. And whenever I start this, I make sure all the knobs are pointed in the right direction so it's off. It's going to be loud for a second, because I cannot tell you how many soups and everything have ended up on the ceiling when I'm done with them. All right, so now all of that goes right into my Vitamix right here. And I want to start off slow with it. And I'm going to wait to season it till the end. I don't like to season my soups till I'm very much at the end. Okay, so I'm very low here, and I'm going to turn on slowly. Okay. And I'm going to give it a good pulse. I want it to really get a good pulse in there. Okay, got another pot. The more you cream this, the better it is. Okay, let's see how, oh boy, this came out really creamy. This came out beautiful. So I just want to show you what this kind of looks like right now here in the blender. Hopefully you got a good picture of that. Let me see if I can get a little ladle out of it right now so you can see what it looks like in the blender. I want you to just see the richness of the soup, okay? And it's just beautiful and rich right now. So I'm going to pour it into my pot again to heat it. Even though it's very hot, what I want to do now is just get it to the right temperature. This is where I'll keep it for service today. And I just want to show you, that looks so delicious. It really looks really, really rich here. And if you wanted to, you could get a vegan cheese and put vegan cheese in it too. So I'm going to just get it back up to a simmer a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to it. I like to use a little bit of sea salt and pepper. Black pepper adds a little speckle to it, but I like black pepper better than white pepper. I'm not a big white pepper fan. Okay, so I want to show you what we're going to do. Anthony's going to get me my little fish spatula over there. And I'm going to now plate up our vegetable soup here. And I want to show you what it's going to look like in the bowl. Whenever I serve a soup, I bring it back up to a simmer again, just to get the full richness. By the time it gets to the table, it's not so hot. You don't want to serve the soup so hot that you burn your taste buds, but you want to get it there hot, that if it's cold, it's not nice either. So you want to get it nice up. Just when it hits that simmer, when you see a couple of bubbles coming across the top, that's the time you want to serve your soup. And I've got my little bowl right here. So just my soup is just starting to bubble. I hope you can see that. And now I'm going to take my ladle, put it in my bowl, and I'd love to show you what the matzo balls look like now. Okay. Here are the matzo balls. Here's one that is not browned, and here is one that I browned in the oven a little bit, which I like to use. And I'm going to put that right in the center of my matzo ball soup, but I'll put two in there so it does a comparison so you can see what the matzo ball soup looks like. A couple of other little things I like to do just for color and just for a little pleasant look is I always like to serve it with a couple of fresh garden peas in there floating on the top so that they look really nice and adds a little color to it as well. And that's the presentation of our cauliflower matzo ball soup. I hope you enjoy and I hope you like. From our kitchen to yours, matzo ball soup, cauliflower style.
Alan, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Erica, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
So I wanted to say this going through. I was desperate to jump in and say, I am blown away, Alan. That was really, really incredible. And I can't thank you enough. I don't know if I just want to give a brief update because I don't know if everyone heard me before. Alan will take a few questions. So in terms of the questions, what you'll do is you can click on your participant button and raise your hand, and then it'll say click raise your hand, and that's how we can field the questions and answers. But for those of you who didn't hear me, I just want to reiterate that Chef Alan and his Passover cooking class, he's an unbelievable chef, as you can see, an unbelievable presenter. We've used him for many cooking classes, and I would totally use him over and over again. He's just such a good friend to our community. I don't know if you heard that his wife, Cindy, is the executive director of the JCC, one of our partner agencies. I saw Judy Schumann was on, who's very involved with our JCC. For those of you who I could see, as I said, I felt like Bob McAllister from Wonderama. This is one of the many Federation Live programs that we're offering. Pay attention to your emails because there'll be a lot more. Alan is a great, great chef and caterer. I know he's super busy always, and even more so this week during the pandemic, making sure that his employees are busy, that he's getting his food out. And really, Alan, and I'm going to say this, you know, I was like a little bit of a naysayer about the cauliflower matzo ball, but I was totally 100% blown away. And I don't know if you could see me wanting, I told Cindy, I'm going to give you a standing ovation because you were just the best. So thank you. And please, questions. I know that Ellen Channing, not to put you on the spot, had a great question.
Okay.
So I'm actually going to read it for her because she asked me, because we were texting. I hope I'm not embarrassing you, Ellen, but her question was, I'm going to make them. I wonder if they can be made the day before and kept in the fridge.
Yes, they're actually better. Yes, they're much better made the day before. You can put them in the fridge and you can just warm them up in the oven the next day. It's perfect. If you wanted to spray them with pan oil and breadcrumb on them, that's good too. They will hold perfectly, and you can just heat them back up in the oven right before you serve them. So they're great to prep ahead. I would make the soup a day ahead too. Doesn't have to be made on the day. It reheats perfectly.
Okay, Lois Weinstein just asked me about sending the cauliflower recipe. Just so you know, everyone who has registered for this program, following when we're finished, you will all receive an email saying thank you for joining us. Look forward to our next ones, and all of the recipes will be at the bottom, so everyone will receive it. And if for some reason you don't, you can always email me, call me, text me, whatever. Other questions? Anyone see questions, Erica?
No.
Okay, so
I have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Chef, very much. I did not see any seasoning with the vegetable stock. Do you?
That's an excellent question. I do not season the stocks at all. The reason is, as you reduce it, the salt can become very intense. So what I like to do is I like to season the soup. The stock should be bland when you use it. When you buy vegetable stock, it already has a lot of sodium in it. So that's why sometimes when they reduce down, they become a little salty. I like to buy very low sodium stock if you can. And when I make it, we never season a stock until it's used into the product or the sauce, because then you can get the real flavor at the end of it.
What do you do with the vegetables that you left out of the soup?
That I leave in the pot, you mean, afterwards? I like to puree them and make a cream of vegetable soup out of it.
Okay.
That's what I like to do. I get to make two things at one time while I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. So I get the cauliflower soup or whatever soup, mushroom soup, and then I get the vegetable soup as well.
Thank you. I really appreciated seeing you work on 3 different things at one time. That's what I do too.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thanks.
I'd like to ask what goes into the cauliflower, matzo balls?
It's all natural. It's you don't have to at the end. I want people to feel like they're not missing out, so I put a little bit of matzo meal on the top, just so that they can say, yeah, I had some matzo meal, matzo ball at the end. But the cauliflower is just naturally cooked in water. If you want to steam it, you can steam it. And I just put a little lemon. Lemon is an acid that helps keep the vegetables nice and white. So I like to make it, like bright colors, so keep all the color in there. So that's why I add the lemon. But otherwise, it's just natural cauliflower and just water. That's it.
And it has a flavor to it?
Oh, yeah, it has a full cauliflower flavor to it. I salt the cauliflower a little bit at the end, right when I spray it, and that's it. And it's very natural, but it's very good. Cauliflower on its own is just wonderful. If you like more flavor and you're not doing vegan, you could brush it with a little butter and brown it with a little butter on there too, if you like.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a question from Jill Goldstein.
Hi, Alan.
Hi, Jill.
You made the soup with 1 head of cauliflower. How many servings is that, roughly?
You'll get 3 to 4 servings out of that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Wendy Goldberg, do you have another question? Oh, maybe Wendy's asked already.
Okay. Any other
Okay.
questions?
Wait, hello.
Yes?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Would an immersion blender work as well as a regular blender when you want to make it
Yes.
as great as possible?
Yes, an immersion blender, a food processor, a mixer, a blender, they all will work. Yeah, as long as you can puree it really fine, that works. Home blenders, margarita machines, whatever you got.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anybody else that has any other questions? Okay.
Okay, well, Alan, thank you again. Check out his website, Chef Alan Bergman, chefalanbergmancatering.com, right?
That's right.
Yeah, and it's fabulous. And check our emails for other programs. The next program is Monday morning. It'll be a little bit different. It's going to be mindfulness in the pandemic and how to deal with coping strategies. And anytime you want to do any kind of cooking, I would certainly go to Alan Bergman because he's the best. So thank you, Alan. Chag Sameach
Pleasure.
to everyone. Most importantly, please stay healthy. At the end of this, you'll see contact info. If you have any needs or need anything, don't hesitate to call or ask, and enjoy. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.